Welcome to One Sharp Sword, cutting through to what matters most. I'm your host, Dr. P, Dr. Wayne Pernell, the Exponential Success Coach. Today, I want to talk about an event a period of time ago that I was handed my behind by a mentor of mine. And I think it's really important that you know that coaches have coaches and that we never stop learning. The reason that this works so well for us to be coaches is that the whole idea is that you can't see your own blind spots. That's why they're called blind spots. It's why each high performer needs somebody on the outside to say, hey, you know, you're running into this wall and it's not necessary. And it's a very interesting process. Well, sometimes you need somebody to give you the hard truth. And a great coach is going to give you the hard truth in a way that it could be heard. And as a great student, you're always ready to learn another truth. What is true for me now? And that's a hard thing because it's really about, you can't learn certain truths until you've gone through a certain amount of growth. You have to be able to let go of a certain amount of thinking that you've held on to. It's created who you are. And yet growth is often about letting go, not becoming or adding to, right? Not adding to necessarily, but true becoming is often about shedding. We have learned to protect ourselves so well because you may have noticed it's brutal out there. So it's really important that you learn to not only protect yourself because, you know, your psyche needs it, but also how to let go, you know, how to just be more authentic. And that, by the way, is a really hard process. And you might be listening to this going, but I am authentic. I'm real in the world. And until you step back and go, yeah, I do protect myself here, or I do, you know, I do this thing and it seems authentic, but it's actually a way of keeping me safe. And that's what our subconscious is supposed to do, which is why, by the way, it's a blind spot. We are not aware of the patterns that we get into that actually serve to protect us. And unless we become conscious of them and we wrestle our subconscious to the ground and teach it that it's not unsafe. And a better way of saying it is safe to begin to change. It is safe to begin to grow. It is safe to let down the armor that we've built up that kept us safe from early on. So all of that is really important because we can't see it when we're in the middle of it. And so sometimes a coach will say something so blatantly obvious that you go, yeah, me? Like, was I doing that? Like me? And it's great. I have to say it's great. Like, that's part of what makes me an extraordinary coach is that I do keep learning. I do have people around me that are like, hey, that worked for you. You're at a place where you don't need that anymore. And it is part of what I do for the people whom I coach, being able to have a perspective. I've run the miles. I have 30 years of coaching experience behind me. I'm pretty darn good at it. And as a human, I'm still growing. And I love being able to say that because people will go, you have a coach? It's like, oh no, I have about 4 of them. And there's a reason, right? It's sort of like if you look at a high level basketball player, if you look at a high level golfer, if you look at a all of the highest level executives that you can think of. The I'm not going to name them. You just think of a major company. I can guarantee you that person has had or has currently an executive coach working with them. And that is the work I do. When I worked with a major grocery retailer and did some work with their executive team and said some things that surprised the heck out of them that anybody would say in this executive meeting room. It's like, you asked for the truth. Like, here's what I'm seeing. And it sparked more and more conversation and actually brought the group together. And that is the point. You become more efficient, you become more effective, you become more productive, and ultimately more profitable when you cut away the BS that has been holding you back. And that's cool. So I wanted to share with you the idea of I was handed my behind. All high performers have great coaches. And sometimes, as I said, sometimes the highest athletes have 2, 3, 4, 6 different coaches because they're all looking at different things, from how do you hold your elbow to how do you jump to how do you breathe. They're all looking at different things. Well, for me, I'm looking at psychological engagement. I'm looking at communication styles, and I'm looking at physiology as well. How well is a person holding up? How present can that person be? So how do you bring your presence to any engagement where you actually have the influence that you said you wanted? I have plenty of examples in my past where I thought I was being very direct and very authentic when I would speak to my team in a very particular way. And it was very evident that all I was doing was pushing myself away. I wasn't inviting anybody in. I wasn't inviting conversation. And so it did not make me the best leader. I was a good leader, but I wasn't the best leader, So really, leadership is about being able to see beyond yourself. And you do that when someone can hold up a mirror for you. And so here's what happened. I'm looking at some notes on my screen because I wanted to make sure that I covered all this. I have multiple advisors. Yes, I do. Here's the thing. I don't know what I don't know. And the point here is also neither do you, right? It's like, it was really great to figure that out. A blind spot is defined that way. It is simply something that you're blind to. So I was talking about with one of my mentors back a while ago, I was talking about the things that I wanted to do, the things that I was aiming for, the creation of certain things, and how I just couldn't seem to get them done. It's like, wow, they're on my list. I have them good intentions when I start my day. I put them on my list. I even put them on my calendar, but somehow other stuff bumps them. And I can't seem to get these things done or off my list. And he said something that just cut right through, which is so good because, again, this is one sharp sword cutting through to what matters most. It is not 1,000 dull knives poking at you. It is cutting through to what matters most. And that's why I appreciated this quote. He said to me, right, I had all these things that mattered. I wanted to do this and I wanted to do that, and it would get me closer and get me closer. And he said to me, you're not getting them done because you don't want to do them. I'm like, what? Right? I stammered, actually. Well, hang on, what? Like, I'm not getting them done because I don't want to do them. And he didn't say it maliciously. He didn't say it to demean me. He didn't say it like calling me an idiot in any other way. That was sort of up to me to do. Like, oh my gosh, that's the truth. Like, if you think about any of the things that you have done, You think about any of the things that have been hard, really hard. Oh, it's so hard. And you slog through and you do it anyway. It's like you did that because you wanted to do that. You went through the hard stuff because it mattered to you. And it's not like this other stuff didn't matter. It's just like, I just didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. It was too hard. I didn't want to do it because it meant giving something up. I didn't want to do it because the outcome may require more responsibility. These key things are like, holy cow. Like if you look at the things that have been on your list for how long? Yeah, someday I'll do that. Well, someday's not on your calendar. Well, it's on my calendar. It's on my to-do list. It's even a priority one on my to-do list, and it's not getting done. Really? I'm going to say what my mentor said to me, and that is, you're not getting them done because you just don't want to do them. And if you think about that, there's some relief in knowing that. You're right. I'm not getting them done because I don't want to do them. And you own that, you take accountability for it. And then you get to say, so if I don't want to do them, does that make them not important? Or is there something psychologically that I'm fighting? Am I afraid? And the fear is usually, I have to give something up in order to take something on. If I'm going to be more of this kind of person, I have to let go of being that kind of person. Remember how I said that we grow when we let things go? That was exactly it. I couldn't become the next level of myself until I let go of something that I'd become so used to being. It was so comfortable. I knew who that person was. Well, that person no longer served me, the growing me. And if you think back to who you were 5 years ago, you've changed. Usually I'll say, think back to who you were 20 years ago. You've changed. Well, 20 years ago, it's pretty dramatic. What about 5 years ago? What about 2 years ago? You are different. But what we don't do is look ahead to who we need to become to be the person we say we want to be. Well, in order to be that person, I have to actually like doing the things that get me to be that person. What is that? Right? What is that for you? If you want to be a person who speaks another language, you have to be a person who practices speaking another language. And that's a great analogy and metaphor for doing anything. If you want to be a person who runs a business, you have to be a person who understands the different facets of that business. And that is not easy. If you've never done it before, it's not easy. And there were certain things that I was working with this mentor about that was around running a business. And I'd never done it before. And so it was easy to come up with excuses. I got tired. I got sick. I had other priorities, these other things, and it's like everything fits if you make space for it. So what is it that you have put away that you probably need to be stepping into? What is it that you step around and stepping through instead of stepping through? What is it that really has been on your list of, yeah, I want to do that? And that could be anything from I need to change my diet to I need to improve my exercise to, I want to be a person who runs a multi-million-dollar business. Or I just want to have a quiet home in a quiet neighborhood. Or I just want to give up my home and go traveling all the time. Like, who do you need to be to do all of that, any of that? This gets back to, what are your dreams? What are the whispers? That's one of the strongest podcasts and blogs that I've ever produced, is listening to the whispers. And it's what I talk about in the Exponential Success Summit, exponentialsuccesssummit.com. Go check that out. It's like, can you listen to those whispers and step into your purpose even more greatly than you have? And you do that by becoming aware of your blind spots. You do that by letting go of who you were. You do that by having someone else be in a position to say, here's the truth about what I see. And you go, is it true? Because not everybody out there has a perspective that is correct. Like, be realistic. You have enough. You don't need that. Those things, that's their own voices saying that. Here's where you might be getting in your way if you said you wanted this. That's worth looking at. You don't need that. Be realistic. That's not helpful. That's not helpful. That will only serve to shut down those whispers that come out of your heart. So you need to say, that's fine, thank you. But find someone who says, yeah, I see your vision. I see where you say you want to head, and I see you running into this glass wall that you seem to not be able to see. And you run into it over and over and over again, and maybe you could try this. And it's either a way around it or a way through it, or wow, there's a door, and you just unlock it and off you go. I used to carry workout gear with me, right? I travel a lot. I'd carry gym clothes and workout shoes and all kinds of stuff. And it's like, never got to that. Like, I was tired. I traveled, jet lag, all the reasons, right? Well, I have things to do. Now that I'm up, I have other things to do. I didn't work out on the road because I didn't want to. So for a period of time, I actually stopped carrying workout gear with me. And then I'd look in my bag and I'd go, I gave myself permission not to work out, and I'm actually kind of missing it. That's weird. Like, okay, so what do I really want? Well, I want a healthier body. I want I want a healthier mind. I want to be able to focus. I want to be able to. So I started doing things and putting that back in to my routine. Awesome. Step by step, there are little truths that come up. And it starts by, again, getting another perspective. It starts by accepting that you haven't done certain things because, truthfully, you just don't want to do them. They may be hard, they may be scary, they may be all kinds of things. And the only way to get through that is to take the first step to get through that. And maybe what you do is you back fully away from it and go, I give myself permission not to do it. And then you see how that feels. Because it's like, well, if I gave myself permission not to do that, was it mine? Am I still aching to do that? Or was it somebody else's that ended up being a giant should and a priority one on my list? And it's not really mine. I actually don't want to do it. Awesome. I've cleared out a bunch of clutter in my life that has been shoulds of someone else. I should do that. I should study this. I should know that. I should pursue this. It's like, I looked at getting an MBA, right? I'm a PhD. I looked at getting an MBA. Would that serve me? Wouldn't that be great to have those initials after my name? And every so often I toy with that. And the truth is, I don't need it. Not to do the work I'm doing. People I've helped in business, they know. They know what I know. And they know that I can help them. I don't need the initials after my name to do that. So, you know what? It was a nice thought, but it's not what I want. It's what someone else might have wanted for me. And that would be a parent, right? So think about, is it your parents' voices? Is it the clergy? Is it a teacher? Is it someone else you're trying to impress? Because if it's on your list for the wrong reason, you won't actually do it. It's got to be you. And you have to acknowledge the truth. Yeah, I didn't get it done because I didn't want to. All right. So I've had a coughing jag here and there. This has been interrupted a little bit. And I'm at the tail end of COVID. That virus thing got to me and I'm recovering. That doesn't stop me from doing the things that I needed to do. I was supposed to be on stage in New York, and I flew to New York and found a way to be on stage from my hotel room because it was that important to be on stage, but also to quarantine. And it was when I was in New York, like the first or second day that I was in New York, I found out I had COVID. It's like, that's great. Awesome. Locked in. So I'm sharing that because that didn't become an excuse. I wanted to share my message. That was important. So I was going to find a way to do it. And I was going to do it safely and keep the people around me safe as well. So I just quarantined in my hotel room, found a way to be able to remote into a screen on stage. It was a great thing. My producer, Trisha Brooke, put this speaker salon together. It was amazing. So I invite you to look at what are the things that you've not gotten to, or you just haven't done, or you couldn't find a way to actually follow through and do them. And to recognize the reason you haven't done them is because you don't want to do them. And the things you do want to do, the things you're passionate about, you're going to find a way. So pay attention to that. Because if you're really passionate about something, that way is there. And if it really matters to you, you will find a way. And either give yourself permission to back away from the things that don't matter, or to recognize that you're not doing something because maybe you don't know how and you're afraid of being called stupid, or not getting approval from others just because you don't know. Everybody starts somewhere, and you've got to start. And there are enough people out there that can show you what the next step is. You just have to say, yes, this matters. It doesn't all have to be done today, tomorrow, but the first step, I'm going to take it today, if it matters to you. Otherwise, you're not getting it done because you don't want to do it. All right. With that, I will say, find the things that matter, get them done. I'm Dr. P, Dr. Wayne Pernell, the Exponential Success Coach, and you are listening and watching, listening to and watching. One sharp sword cutting through to what matters most. Thanks for being here. Be sure to check out exponentialsuccesssummit.com. We'll see you here next time.